Hey guys, and welcome to my kitchen. It's about 10 degrees outside for a high today. It's a little after 5 o'clock now, and it's down to 2 degrees already. We're going down to the negative digits tonight up here in the Mahoning Valley. So I was thinking all day long what would be a good dish to make, and I decided on some good old-fashioned beef lasagna. So, you stay tuned, I'll show you how to make it. Alright, so here we go. I got a decent, healthy amount of extra virgin olive oil going over medium-high heat. I'm really not much for measuring, so I might say a lot of dabs and dollops as we go through this. You just kind of have to find a happy medium and do what works for you. So first thing we're going to do, equal parts, 1 pound ground beef, 1 pound Italian sausage of your choice. Going to take and we're going to plop that in the pan and get it all nice and seared up and cooking. And let me pause this for a minute because the sausage don't want to come out. We got our meat sizzling in the pan there. Before it gets all browned up, we're going to go ahead and add a dash of salt and pepper here. Get that mixed in. And I'm also going to add about 2 teaspoons or so of some minced garlic to it as well. Give it a little more flavor. Start getting flavor locked in there before you get all your meat cooked up. Alright, so in goes the salt, pepper, and the garlic. We'll give that a good stir up there. Get her all mixed up good. Get everybody making friends with each other there. Smells good already. We'll be back in a minute, guys. Get it browned up. That's basically what we're making here is a bolognese sauce to mix in with our lasagna. So we got all that meat cooking up here. It's coming along. Got our salt, pepper, and our minced garlic put in there. I think here in a minute we'll start to drain off just a little bit of the fat. You don't want to take all the fat out of the pan because a lot of it has the flavor in it. So I usually take it down and leave maybe 2 tablespoons or so in there. If you don't want to dry your meat out. You want enough out of there that you're not going to die of a coronary at the end of the night. But you want enough in there that it still tastes pretty good for a cold Saturday night meal. So we got that meat cooked up here pretty good. You don't really want to brown it at this point. That is, you don't want it overly brown. You just want to kind of sear it off and get most of the raw cooked out of it. And when you get to this point, then you're going to take your fat out of there. So to leave about 2 tablespoons in with it, and then we're going to put it to the side to rest and get our veggies. We got our meat resting off to the side here. Like I said, I left about 2 tablespoons or so of fat in there. There really wasn't a whole lot of fat. I got extra lean beef tonight. So that kind of helped out. I didn't have to strain it off too much. Next thing we're going to do, I got the pot back on the stove here. Got some more olive oil going in there. Medium-high heat again. Swirl that around. It's got some water. I just rinsed the pot out. You can deglaze your pan if you get a little bit of wine around. I don't drink, so I don't have it around. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our veggies and we're going to throw them in here. I got about a cup or 1 whole white onion, a smaller, medium to small white onion. I got some pre-chopped carrots and celery. So we're going to mix that all in here and get that smothering down. We don't want to overcook this. We just want to cook it for about 3 to 5 minutes until it's translucent in color. You go overcooking your veggies and you're going to have a bunch of mush in the bottom of your pan here. So give them a little toss. Get that olive oil coated over everything. And don't be lazy here. You gotta keep mixing the whole time you're doing this. So nothing sticks to the bottom. Get everything evenly cooked. And then we'll move on to the next step. Going to add just a little bit of regular table salt to this, guys, just to give a little something as we get going there. So we'll get that mixed in, and we'll give it a nice little toss there again. Again, don't be lazy here. Keep mixing the whole time you're doing this. Alright, so the veginators have been going here for 4 or 5 minutes now. They're just starting to get just a little transparency on them. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do here, I'm going to reach over behind me, off camera. I'm going to get me some of this meat. I'm going to toss this in and we're going to blend it together. Where's the beef? There it is. We're going to blend this all together. We're just going to let it cook for a few more minutes here. Just keep stirring. I don't want to overcook them veggies, guys. I really don't. You lose a lot of the texture of the food if you overcook. You got to remember, this is going to bake too. It's a lasagna. So you don't want them overcooked before you get them in the oven there. Basically what I'm doing right now is I'm just starting to get a little bit of that veggie flavor into our meat here. Letting it go for a few minutes, giving everything a toss. Getting all those wonderful flavors all blended together. Hey, a lot of this cooking stuff is judgment. You know, you don't have to get crazy with it. You just got to kind of go by a gut feel. Every time's a little different. It always comes out a little different when I make it. It's kind of nice that way because you don't get bored with any one way of doing it. If you find some way you really like it doing it, just jot it down on a notepad. Then you have it. Maybe it's just one ingredient that you got in there that you made it set just right. Maybe it's a little more sugar to even out your tomato sauce. Maybe you're not a big fan of garlic, so you leave the garlic out. Everybody's different, guys, so just find what works for you. Alright, at this point, if we pull our meat and veggies back just a little bit, if we look off into the corner, you see it's real wet there? My camera's cold from being out at the store there. See how it's real wet, all them juices coming out? Mostly that's water from the veggies. So if you remember, I only left about 2 tablespoons of grease in there from the meat. So we're going to want to cook this now. Keep it on medium high and just keep cooking it until you cook all that off of there, because we don't want a real sloppy wet lasagna. We don't really want a really sloppy wet bolognese sauce, I should say, to put in our lasagna. So we're just going to keep cooking that on medium high, and you want to cook it off pretty much all the way at this point. All you'll have left is a little bit of fat from the meat. So keep going. We got this cooking down good now. You pull that meat back and look, you see just a little bit of fat there in the pan. That's just how we want it. So at this point, I'm going to keep that heat cranked, clear the spoon out of the way, and I'm going to put in the tomato sauce. Right, so I went ahead and opened all the cans and got them into this big old mixing bowl here just to save some time. I'll go ahead and tell you what I got. I got 2 large cans, definitely 2 large cans of diced tomatoes, and we got 2 cans of tomato paste. To that, you're going to add about 1 tomato paste can worth of water. And you might have to do some more as it cooks. You got to just kind of gauge it. You don't want it too thick. So we're going to start with 1 can. Fun fact about using the can to measure it out. Not only is it a great measuring device and you don't have to clean another dirty dish, but you can actually use that water to get the rest of your tomato paste out of the can. Voila. Alright, so come over here, got all our tomatoes in the bowl here, the tomato bowl. We're going to start adding that in. Here's where she becomes bolognese. If you were to just stop at this step, cook it for a couple hours, real nice and low. You might have to keep adding a little water to it. Of course, we're going to add seasoning to this as well. You just keep cooking this down for about 4 or 5 hours, real low and slow. Well, folks, you add some elbow macaroni to that, and get, or your other favorite choice of pasta, and you have a nice bolognese for dinner. We're going to keep going here. We're making lasagna tonight, so we got to keep going. Getting them tomatoes all nice and mixed in there, and don't worry if you see some bigger chunks. It's going to break down. It turns almost into a marinara sauce as we get going here. But this you're just going to cook over a low heat. You want to do it really for at least 2 hours if you can. If you got all day, sauce only gets better with time. You can make this ahead of time, and you could freeze it, or let it sit for overnight and come back to it the next day. The longer sauce sits, guys, the more flavor you're going to get in there. Add some beans to this; it almost looked like chili, wouldn't it? All right, we're going to keep going. I'll be back with you. We're over here at the spice rack. Now, what am I going to add to this? I'm going to add some crushed red pepper. I'm going to add some rosemary, some thyme. I don't want to add ground thyme. I'm going to add the full. Definitely going to do some Italian seasoning. A little extra oregano, even though it's in the Italian seasoning. And I think I might do just maybe parsley for sure. And I might do a bay leaf or 2. If you're using bay leaves, guys, make sure you get them out of there before you eat it. They can do a number on your digestive system. Alright, got all my seasonings in here, all my spices. Gonna give that a good stir up. You can see it's coming to a real strong simmer now, so we're gonna get that heat down now that it's up to temperature. I went ahead and added some more salt and pepper in there as well, and also about about 2 tablespoons or so of sugar. Sugar you got to kind of do to taste. It cancels out some of the acidity in the tomatoes. Make the sauce taste a lot better. And I also added just a little bit more fennel seed. More, I say, because there's actually fennel seed used in the making of sausage. So if you add just a little bit more, that's probably all you're going to need. But it brings out the flavor in the sausage. So that's kind of an optional one. There's some protest to that depending on who you talk to. But again, this is what I do. You use what you like, I use what I like. I can remember every Sunday growing up at my grandmom's house there, she always made a Sunday sauce. She wasn't Italian, that was kind of the ironic part of it, but she always liked the Italian food. Grandma was from West Virginia, way down a little town called Gent, right outside of Beckley. Most of my family come from down that way and in southeast Virginia. But anyway, every Sunday she'd make a spaghetti sauce. And I always loved that smell all day long. All you could smell cooking through the house was that tomato sauce and homemade meatballs. Great smelling. Every time I make something like this, I kind of think of her. Think about her cooking that Sunday sauce. A word of caution as you're mixing. Your arm's going to get tired. It's going to happen. Yeah. Our generation, all the time, hitting the gym. Stay at home and make you a nice big pot of meat sauce. You get exercise. You gotta switch off every now and then. Make sure you get even distribution. Seriously, guys, get outside, go for a walk, do something tomorrow. Even if it is only 9 or 10 degrees for a high, get out there and enjoy life. Then go home and make you some meat sauce. Man, that wind is really kicking out there tonight. Old man Winter wants to come in and pay me a visit, but I'm going to let him sleep outside tonight. We got this sauce simmering pretty good. You want to keep an eye on it. Maybe every 10-15 minutes come over and give it a little stir around. Make sure it don't need any water. Somehow, Murphy's Law didn't follow me tonight. I've actually got just about the right amount of liquid in here that it's starting out pretty good anyway. We'll see if it tightens up some and I might have to add some more water. But we're going to let this go tonight for about 2 hours because it's getting a little on the later side here, but I usually eat dinner later anyway. I'm kind of a night owl. I'm usually up to at least 12 or 1 in the morning, so like to eat before 9 o'clock though. So we'll just keep an eye on her. And while that's going, we could sit and read a book, or we could pull out the banjo. But I think me and as we're making lasagna, I better get started on the noodles. So we'll get to that next. Alright, so what I got going here is the start to this dough. You're going to do 2 cups of flour to 3 large eggs with a pinch of salt, and you probably want to add just a little bit of extra virgin olive oil because it gives elasticity to the dough. You don't have to use it, but it does come in handy. It makes it a little better. We're going to mix this all up and see how she looks. Might need to add another egg, might need to add a little more flour. You just kind of go with it until it's where you need it. So we'll get the mixing here. And I just use a fork. Try not to get her all over the counter. I got this big sheet here. Helps if you break your eggs up. Don't get your egg out on the table. Just mix this on up. You can use a food processor if I didn't say that just a minute ago there. I don't remember. We're just going to mix this all up. Alright, so let the dough sit under a bowl for about 5 or 10 minutes there. After I got it all mixed up. This is what she looks like. So now, get out our rolling pin. This is a multi-purpose tool here for anybody with a spouse out there having a bad day. You just take them and poop over the head. But tonight we're going to use it to roll out some dough. You guys stick around. I got more jokes. I got plenty more jokes. So sprinkle some down the surface there. This might end up on the countertop. So this gets kind of big. Get some on that rolling pin there. Because we're not cracking anybody over the head with it. Won't matter if you can see some flour spots on there. Alright, we're just going to take and start rolling this. Roll it out, flip her around. Don't be scared of the flour. Get plenty of flour on there. The whole thing's made of flour. A little more is not going to hurt it. Guys, we want to get this dough down about 1/8 of an inch thick. And then we're going to cut out our lasagna strips. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go right onto the counter with this. Alright, right onto the counter with it now. Just rolling it out. Rolling time with the music there. Roll it out. Now guys, you can do this several different ways. Some people take that dough ball as it is and they cut it off into little pie sections and they roll each individual one out. And that works good too. I just prefer to roll one big sheet because I've got the counter for it here, so see, it's getting nice and thin now. Keep adding a little bit of flour if you need it. Work it in and get it real nice and thin. A watched pot never boils. But we're getting there. Alright, we got our water boiling over there. I'll go ahead, I got this dough all rolled out here. And we're going to cut it into strips using the cookie cutter. You do your strips however you want them. Remember, it don't have to be too pretty. It's all going into a lasagna. There we go. They're all cut out. Get that water boiling over there, and we'll get them mixed on in and get them cooking. Alright, we finally got this water up to a rolling boil, so we're going to start adding our pasta in. Just salt water here, guys. Just you know, a little spritz of salt, and you notice it's just a little bit murky. It's because I actually take the dirty spoon from the sauce and I use that to mix around the water. Reason behind that, I was always taught, is that some of the oils that are in the sauce will actually help keep your noodles from sticking too. Alright, so here we go. And here's one more to go in there. I don't want to get too greedy on the amount of pasta in the pan here, guys. So I'm just doing about 5 at a time. And these will go for about 5 minutes. Get them all nice and cooked up. We're getting there now. So I got all my noodles done. I just lay them on a plate. Keep them nice and flat. Put them off to the side. If you do them the way I do them, they're not going to stick. If you look, watch. See, they'll pull right up. So no worries there. We'll let them to the side for now. I'm going to use a whole tub of ricotta cheese. It should be whole milk. I kind of messed up and got part skim, so hopefully it turns out all right. We're going to mix that. We're going to put it in the bowl, 1 egg, a dash of salt, and believe it or not, a little bit of nutmeg. And then we're going to just dress it up a little bit with some parsley, add a little color into there. So mix all that together, and then we're going to get cheesy around here. All right, you guys, we're just about all set to start putting this together. I got my ricotta mixed up. I got a whole tub full of Parmesan, freshly grated. I got a plate full of fresh mozzarella. Got my noodles, and I got my sauce. So we'll get cooking here. Now I'm going to need a spoon. We're going to spoon this sauce into the bottom of a pan. I just use a throwaway aluminum pan. I find it's a lot easier for cleanup. I try to minimize my dishes. So we're going to get that all spread out on the bottom. And I did put some Pam in the pan. It just helps it keep from sticking a little bit. You don't have to, it's optional. Anyway, we'll do a layer of sauce, and then we're going to start with our noodles. Put down a nice layer of noodles. Real simple, easy stuff here, guys. Anybody can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. And the noodles don't have to look pretty. They just need to cover. Doesn't really matter. We're going to cook it all down anyway. So you get a nice layer of noodles. All right, moving on. We're going to take our mozzarella and we're going to put out a layer of that. Mozzarella, mozzarella, mozzarella for you. All right. Got that all laid out. Take a couple globs of our ricotta. Sprinkle that down. Let me show you what I got going on here, guys. So this is how it's looking. I got my base layer, my noodles, mozzarella, and now I'm mixing up that ricotta. You just want to get that nice and evenly dispersed. Create that layer all the way around. Alright, we got that layer of ricotta down there, so now I'm going to grab my Parmigiana. Like I said, guys, we're going to get cheesy. Just going to sprinkle it. Get a nice healthy amount there. You know, I always do these messy kitchen cooking things, these expeditions, right after I clean the kitchen. I just spent half the day cleaning this kitchen up, mopping the floor. Here I am dirtying it up again. Leave in the comments if you guys do the same thing. Alright, so now we got down the base layer of sauce, the noodles, then we did the mozzarella ricotta and the Parmesan. And then we're just going to start all over again, guys. Get you a nice layer of that bolognese sauce again. Ragu sauce, whatever you want to call it. The tomato and meat sauce. Get saucy. Spread it all out. Just keep working layers. Man, this stuff smells good. That cheese is starting to melt already there. Already starting. Where's Garfield the cat? You know, this was his favorite dish, lasagna. Alright, so we're starting over again. We got another layer of base down. I'm just going to keep repeating. I'm going to do noodles. Then I'm going to do the mozzarella and the ricotta and the Parmesan. I'll get back to you when we get one more layer down here. Alright guys, we're on to the final layer. I almost forgot to record the final layer. So we've done 2 layers like I told you. And then over top of that cheese layer, we're putting one more thing of noodles. And then we're going to do the sauce. And then to top it all off, we're going to use the rest of our Parmesan cheese. You should have used up all your ricotta and mozzarella down underneath. Now, if you're using a regular 9x13 Pyrex, you're not going to be able to get the 3rd layer. You'll only be able to get 2, and that's fine also. You do this however you want. This is just the way that I do it, and I just like doing it this way. So that's what we're doing here. So again, top layer, noodles, meat sauce, and the Parmesan cheese. And then once this is all set, we're going to put it over there in that oven. We're going to cook it at 375 degrees. I almost forgot to mention, you're going to bake this at 375 degrees for 25 minutes covered with aluminum foil. And you want to spray a little bit of cooking grease on there before you put that foil down to keep the cheese from sticking. 25 minutes with it covered. Then you're going to pop it out, take off the foil, and put it back in for an additional 25 minutes. Then you're going to have some lips-making good lasagna. Just couldn't resist giving you a little sneak peek. So this is after the first 25 minutes. I've just taken the foil off. And now we'll stick her back in for another 25 minutes. And then she'll be done. Always a good idea to use a pan underneath. 1, you got to support this thing because it don't hold anything at all except its own weight. But 2, if you get any spillover, this will catch it instead of going all over your oven. Alright, back in she goes. Alright, well here it is. It's all cooked up and ready to dig into. When you pull it out of the oven, you want to let it sit for at least 10 or 15 minutes to cool down a little bit. And then you can dig on into it. Now, this probably feed me for 2 weeks here. I'll freeze it, put it in the refrigerator. But it would easily feed, I'd say, a family of 6 for a one-night meal. So that's pretty impressive. But hopefully it tastes as good as it looks. I'm sure it will. It always does. I got a little bit of Italian bread in the oven. Gonna make up a nice little spinach salad to go along with it, some feta cheese. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.